Ginger has benefits when it's incorporated into your diet, but it also has amazing benefits as an essential oil. That's why you need ginger with 2 J's. It's the new high-quality, all-natural ginger essential oil that's designed to help women rejuvenate their mind and body. Ginger's essential oil harnesses the natural healing properties of ginger root to address the small aches and pains you've been brushing off. Massage it into your skin, diffuse it in the air, or inhale it to get the benefits. Ginger is sustainably sourced, and their special extraction process removes micro impurities, resulting in a higher purity ginger oil. Unlike other essential oils, ginger comes pre-mixed with jojoba and evening primrose carrier oils, so it's ready to use and provides the additional benefits of nourishing your skin and reducing skin inflammation. Plus, the convenient dropper cap ensures you get the perfect amount every time. Head to jinjer.us/podcast today for 20% off your first purchase. That's ginger with 2js.us/podcast.
Hey, and welcome to the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast, an adulting advice podcast production. I'm Dani Sheriff, and this is the place to come if you care about getting your period regularly. This podcast aims to educate, inform, and keep you motivated on your period and HA recovery track. Let's dive in. And guys, please remember that I am not a doctor and nothing on this show should be taken as medical advice. Always seek the advice of your physician. Welcome everyone to the HA podcast. It's me, Dani, and I am joined by Claudia Vidor. If you found me on Instagram, then you've probably found Claudia before as well. We're both circling in the same hashtag space. She's a nutrition and dietetic clinician who specializes in HA, pregnancy, and postpartum. I'm really excited to talk to her when she reached out. I was pretty pumped because she has this whole other perspective we haven't spoken to anyone, I don't think, about on the show. And yeah, just welcome, Claudia.
Thank you, Dani. It's a pleasure to be part of your podcast. I was actually looking forward to this conversation with you.
Cool.
So I love your podcast. I've been listening to it for many months now, and I think that it's really changing the community, the HA community. So you're doing a great job.
Thank you. And I know that you have been doing your work in the HA space actually longer than I have. I remember kind of seeing your face and your name popping up online. So I'm sure that you have been experiencing a similar, what was that?
I've been around forever. Dani.
Yeah, a lot longer than me. Yeah, I'm sure you've experienced what it's like to kind of just, it's so cool to bring this information to people. The people that have heard it for the first time, and it's totally changing their life and they're able to get pregnant. And it's just like, wow, it's just the coolest thing.
Absolutely. And now I have a beautiful Facebook group, and 200 women are part of it. And I love spending my days chatting to these women, because I know that I do this for work, but sometimes being able to support women and to guide them through the same journey that I had to experience for a decade is so fulfilling and so rewarding. And I've noticed some of my clients, or just some of the women that hang out on my Facebook group, going from HA to getting pregnant. And it makes my life.
Yeah, I've experienced the same thing in my group too. And it's just like, when you think about the gravity of just like how impactful what you're doing is being on someone's life, it's sometimes it's hard to fathom.
Absolutely. I had this girl that she came to me only a couple of months ago, and she said, look, I went to the doctor and they told me that I have perimenopause, and she's only 32 and she was looking to getting pregnant again. And then we had a quick chat on Facebook, and I'm like, darling, you have no perimenopause at all. You're experiencing HA. And I'm not sure in the States. I think that in the States, the vibe is slightly different. But here in Australia, if you go to a GP, they diagnose you with PCOS or perimenopause. No one is still talking about hypothalamic amenorrhea, even in the IVF realm, which is really scary. So many women are frustrated and are left alone, and they don't know what to do with themselves.
Yeah, it's very similar here. I will say, when I went to the doctor in Australia, he did pick up on it being HA, and at the same time, he didn't tell me. It was like, in hindsight, I know now what had happened was I went to my doctor in Sydney and told him what's going on. And I'm like, I feel really sad. I feel really miserable. I haven't had a period in forever. I just don't know what's wrong. And he gave me a hug which is weird. I don't know if that's like okay, but he gave me a hug and he prescribed me to have a vacation and to take time off. And like because he was asking me about my life and everything that I'm doing. And I think he had made this connection that there was way too much stress going on in my life. He had never used the term HA or anything like that. And it was years later. But I thought that was a somewhat positive experience.
Really, at least it on the stress component. I wish that I could share the same story, but I was trying desperately to get pregnant for 5 years. And I didn't know why I wasn't getting my period. I kind of knew, but I was in denial, you know?
We have an intuition about it. Like there's an innate understanding of what's going on. I would love to hear your story, however you tell it.
Yeah, should I get into it?
Yeah, please do.
Well, my story is quite longish. So it started when I was 15. So I'm trying to shortcut it a little bit. But when I was 15, between 15 and 20 years of age, I developed an eating disorder. Like I was anorexic first and then bulimic. And I went into a rehabilitation center and I was like taken care of. And finally, I call myself recovered. And then I got offered a job in Australia when I was 26. So I decided to leave my country, which is Italy, to move to Australia. And that was the best thing that I did because all of a sudden I was free from all the Italian culture that places so much emphasis on the body, on fashion and all of it. So I felt free and I loved my first year in Australia. But then the job that I was doing was really demanding. I was a marketing manager in the travel industry. So always traveling here and there. And I was also in a very bad relationship. And when I broke up from that relationship, I had a panic attack and I lost my period. So in the beginning, I think that it was all really much stress related. And then obviously, because I was so stressed out, I started exercising and watching my diet a little bit more. And I remember that I would spend my days just eating a little bit and then having alcohol at nighttime, going out with friends, simply because I was trying to recover a broken heart. And you can imagine, Dani, I went from feeling okay to feeling completely miserable. Gut issues, hair falling down, not having a period for many, many months. And I decided to go, actually, before I met my now husband. And it made me fall in love with my body again because he basically loved me the way that I was unconditionally. And I said, okay, so if someone can love me the way that I am, why can't I love myself for what I am? So I started questioning myself a little bit. And he actually invited me to go to yoga for the very first time in my life because he used to go to yoga back then. And I ended up becoming a yoga teacher because that's how much I love the whole yoga community. And, you know, I really felt part of it. And I was looking for a place that made me feel that I belonged. But anyway, so long story short, my period was still, it came back in the beginning of our relationship, but was still kind of touch and go simply because I kept on restricting. And I was going to yoga twice a day, every day. So yeah, yoga is great, but if you do it twice a day, every day for 3 hours, then it's not really going to help your recovery. And plus, on top of it, I was still working long hours. And then it came the time that we were looking to have a baby. And I was still like suffering from gut issues, problem with my periods, insomnia, and all of it. And I went to see naturopathic doctor. And she helped me realize that what I was doing wasn't really working for my body. So she gave me supplements, she changed my diet, and finally my period came back. But unfortunately, I recovered my body, but not my mindset. So as soon as I faced a stressful situation, again, with my job or not being able to fall pregnant, I will go back to restricting myself. And then after 3 years of trying to conceive, I went to see a normal GP and I was diagnosed with PCOS, which is the worst thing that could have happened because basically she told me, okay, you just have to go on this diet, cut the carbs and increase your exercise. And so I started running marathon, Dani, because I didn't know what else to do.
Do you know what factors they took into account to give you the PCOS diagnosis or just that you had no period?
Well, when you when you suffer from PCOS, you have basically to tick off three boxes. One is oligomenorrhea or amenorrhea. So I wasn't having a period. So
Check.
exactly. The second one is having high level of androgens, which wasn't my case. And the third one is having a polycystic ovaries. But if you're suffering from HA, you normally tend to have polycystic ovaries as well.
Yeah.
Exactly, because your ovaries are trying to get you to the finish line and they keep producing follicles, but they're really, really teeny tiny and you don't ovulate. So they keep staying in your ovaries, basically.
Yeah. So it just looks like you have this buildup that kind of presents as having polycystic ovarian syndrome, but really you just have a lot of follicles trying their best.
Correct. And I really get disheartened when I hear about women that are like 17, 18, that they go for an ultrasound and they find so many cysts in their ovaries and they get diagnosed with PCOS, when it has been shown that until you are 21, you shouldn't get a scan on your ovaries because that's when you produce all the follicles. So there are so many girls, teenagers, and women under the age of 21 that are diagnosed with PCOS. They get put on a pill to fix their period, but they don't have PCOS at all. They just have normal ovaries that are producing lots of follicles.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm just get really cranky and passionate about it. But then, long story short, so basically they told me you just need to do IVF because you're not going to be able to conceive naturally. And that's when I said, okay, no, this is not going to work. So I went back to the naturopathic doctor, increased my caloric intake, stopped exercising completely, even yoga, no running, nothing. I quit my job. I went back to studying dietetics at university. And that's when I got my period. And finally, I got pregnant for the first time. The postpartum phase was really challenging because no one tells you how tough it is to raise a child, especially if you have no support. And
Yeah, all your family is overseas, right?
and it's gonna be the same thing for you because if you're gonna have a baby very soon, then you're gonna be surrounded by lots of lovely friends, but friends are not there for you at 3 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning when the baby's screaming and you can't sleep and all of it, you know. And then during the day you're hungry and you get anxiety because you have a new baby and what the hell am I gonna do with it? And so I went back to what I knew. So I started restricting again, exercising, and that's when I got diagnosed with osteoporosis. And that was the last straw, the wake up call. I said, no, I'm not gonna do this shit again to my body. And that's when I said, fuck the scale. Sorry, I'm
That's
swearing.
fine. I swear all the time.
Good to know. Let me know if it's a problem. But so I deleted my fitness pal, chucked away the scale, threw away all the tools, the external tools that I was using, and I recovered once and for all. And I never looked back, Dani. And the freedom that I got from that is just incredible. And then all of a sudden, without planning for it, we got pregnant again.
Yeah.
The same week that there was the COVID came out, basically. So 2020 was a major year for me.
Oh, wow. Yeah. People that got pregnant during COVID have already had babies.
Yeah, we had a COVID.
That's how long it's going on.
I know, it's incredible. So basically, that's my story in a nutshell. And then obviously there were ebbs and flows and lots of gray areas, but that's what happened to me. So it took me like 10 years to fully recover from HA. And next year I'm gonna be 40. And I keep seeing lots of clients in my clinical practice and also online and so on and so forth that are around my age that are really struggling with HA. They don't even know what it is. So,
Yeah, I'm excited to dive into that with you a little bit. So you're seeing women of advanced maternal age, right? Struggling to get periods back. And I'm sure that when you're in advanced maternal age, which is 35 plus, women have even more potential reasons in their head that this is happening to them. How often do you see women, feeling like maybe they just missed the boat and they're a little bit too old or something like that, when really they just, are restricting food or over exercising, or are you seeing something else altogether?
Look, I don't know the statistics, obviously, on top of my head, but it's something that it's more and more common that I keep seeing on my clinic. And it also maybe because of the stuff that I put out online. So I'm attracting this type of clients, but it's getting more and more common. And especially because these women, they normally go to normal GPs or they go to specialists, endocrinologists, and they never get to the root cause of what is going on. And then in the meantime, they're very active. They have a highly stressful job because that's what we do nowadays. We have to have it all, the job, the body, the family, the social life. And then we keep restricting our caloric intake because that's what we have been doing for so many years. Because I am, as I said before, in my 40 next years, which means that I have 40 years of wrong knowledge on my shoulders, meaning that for 40 years, I've been reading the wrong informations in the magazine. I've been watching all the Fitspo, all the shows on TV that told me that it was okay to lose weight, it was okay to restrict the calories, it was okay to eat 1,200 calories a day to maintain a healthy body. So these are the type of people that I'm seeing. And even worse, I'm seeing lots of women that maybe have already had a baby, and then they got their body back because, once again, that's what you're supposed to do. Within 6 weeks, you have to have a flat tummy after
yeah.
And I saw something the other day online which really resonated with me, meaning that when you're pregnant, everyone is in awe of your body. Everyone loves your belly. Everyone loves your curves and all of that. And then as soon as you get rid of the baby.
I know what you mean.
Everyone makes comment about, oh, when are you going back to the gym? Or you lost weight, or you have.
Do they really?
Then you have no idea.
Oh my
That's
God.
the first thing that people comment on. And I'm in a very isolated and protected environment because I've been so loud about being diet. So all my friends, they're like, we're not going to make any comment on it. So the only thing that they ask me is, have you eaten today? Do you want me to bring you a meal?
The opposite. Yeah, good.
Opposite. But if I was back in Italy with all the older generations, like women 60, even 70 and 80 plus, the first thing that they do is just commenting on your weight. But even here, I remember with my first baby, I went out of the hospital and this friend of my husband came to visit us. And he said, so what are you going to do about your belly now? And it was only 1 week postpartum. So you can imagine how stressful it can be for a mother after having had a baby to feel this incredible pressure of going back to a body that she will never have again. Because if you go to birth, your bones expand. It's natural. Your body changes. There is no way that you can go back to exactly the same shape as it was before, because it's not meant to. And then you're also dealing with all the other issues, incontinence and gut issues. And that's why women, they feel that they're losing control. And so they go back to what they know, exercising and restricting, because that's all they can control. So at the moment I'm seeing all these women, 35 plus, trying to have the second baby and not succeeding because they went back to their kind of HA mentality. And it's more and more common, Dani.
Wow. Yeah. So I didn't think about it that way, but a lot of women would also get HA for the first time after their second child. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I think that not that many people are talking about this type of market, market, let's say. But these women, they keep it for themselves because they have already had a baby and they're struggling to understand why they can't have a second one. And they think that they're doing all the right things, exercising, keeping fit, eating a healthy diet. And I keep saying healthy, but please, you know what I mean when I say healthy, like society kind of.
Yeah. I think I know that almost every word is not allowed to be used anymore in some way or another. But, I think the word healthy does have a place just in helping us to basically just visualize for us individually what health is for us, you can still say eating healthy, and that might look different to everyone, but what you're saying is still going to apply.
Absolutely. Thank you. I just find the need to clarify because,
for sure.
but I'm sure that the people that are listening to this podcast, they know what I mean.
Yeah.
But so yeah, these are the women that I've been seeing a lot lately. So 35 plus, and normally within 6 months to 8 months of following, it depends, the recovery program that I have online, which is not for everyone. So I have a very individualized kind of approach with the people that I get, because we're not made with a cookie cutter. I wish we were, because it would be so much easier.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm seeing. And after 8 months of changing their diet, meaning increasing their caloric intake, eating the fun foods, going out and have fun, sleeping more, and stop exercising, or not even stop exercising, just exercising less, do a warm-up instead of doing a CrossFit session. It's still fine. Your body's not gonna break down because of it. And they recover, and then they're able to fall pregnant by themselves without having to go through IVF, which is financially a burden and emotionally is a downfall.
Yeah.
Okay,
I love it. There's I have to pick a rabbit hole to go down. My first question is, so this is something that's coming up in our group actually quite a bit. A number of girls inside of the group that I run have gotten pregnant, and including myself actually. So a lot of this is going to be selfish.
Are you pregnant?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my God, I didn't receive the memo.
No, I haven't announced it, but by the time this episode comes out, I will have. So yeah.
I'm so excited. How many weeks?
I'm right now I'm 5.5 weeks, so really early.
How are you feeling?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I get a little bit nauseous sometimes, and that's about it. My boobs are really sore. But yeah, that's good.
The best thing ever, Dani. I'm so happy. When I hear about a woman getting pregnant after HA, I'm like, yay!
I know, being in therapy, my therapist was just like, this is everything you've worked for. She's like, this is huge. I guess so. Yeah.
When I got pregnant the first time, I used to see a therapist as well, and she was really professional, so always standing 1.5 meters away from me. And when I told her I'm pregnant, she just stood up and hugged me really tight, because that's a massive achievement. Congratulations. Sorry. I can spend the next basically half an hour talking about you being pregnant.
Thank you. Well, I could too, but we won't do that to the listeners. Hey, we won't do that. Yeah. So it's been a really popular topic in our group, obviously. Now, I had a fair few recovery periods before getting pregnant. There are girls in the group. One of them, Nikki, she got pregnant before having her first period. So on her first ovulation, she got pregnant. Erica, I think she had one period, and same with Hillary. So there's a few who didn't necessarily spend a lot of time in that continuing to cycle phase. And there's definitely, I think that they're all going to crush it, but they have brought up, what's it going to be like after I have my baby, and that one motivation, because all of these girls, except for me, they were going through HA recovery with the goal of getting pregnant. So when you go through it with the goal of getting pregnant, how can you get on the other side of pregnancy and still prioritize your menstrual health and your mental health and non-restriction, when the goal has been met?
I hear you. That's a big one. And I really struggle with it with my first pregnancy, not at all with the second one. Well, first of all, you have to work during your pregnancy, meaning that your body is going to change incredibly in the next few months. And you really need to love it as much as you can. You're going to have to embrace all the stretch marks, all the reflux, all the nausea, and just connect with your baby, because that you just need to feel the love. I know that it sounds really naive, but you really need to start feeling the love for the baby and connected with the love for your body, because that's what your body is creating, a baby, which is sensational, is something extraordinary. And people fall pregnant, women have always felt pregnant, but still we miss the fact that it's something extraordinary. So you have to start with that connection and deep love for your body throughout the pregnancy. So by the time that you give birth, that has been solidified. And then after that, focus on your baby. Which kind of mother do you want to be for your baby? Do you want to be that mother that make pizza for everyone, sit at the table and have a salad instead? Which kind of message are you giving to your child? And especially if it's a baby girl. Baby girls can start dieting from the age of 4, but they learn your behaviors from the age of 3. So I think that I'm getting goosebumps right now, because that was scary enough for me to pull me off from diet completely for the rest of my life, because my first baby, she's a baby girl. So I don't want her to live the same thing. So one is focus on the love for your body. Second, love for your child. Think about the future that you want to give her. And third, you're going to be so freaking busy, Dani, and so freaking deprived and so hungry, because if you breastfeed and you don't sleep, then you can imagine the level of hunger that you go through, that you're going to ride it out for the first few months. And it's always going back to your whys. I keep telling myself, okay, if I struggle sometimes, I just go back to my whys. Why did I want to recover in first place? Because to me, recovering just to get pregnant wasn't enough. I wanted to recover because I wanted to get my libido back. I wanted to find my partner attractive again. I wanted to feel strong. I want to be a strong mother. I want to get to the age of 50s, 70s, 80s that I feel like my bones are strong. I don't want it to start breaking down by the age of 50, not being able to, lift my child up in the air. That's so sad. So go back to your whys and repeat them as a mantra every single day. And every time that you look at yourself in the mirror, just hug that belly. Hug the belly that created a child. Once again, how extraordinary is that? So I don't know, have I answered your question?
Yeah, you have. I really love the two aspects of like how this responsibility you have to be an example for your daughter is probably more than enough for a lot of women to not slip back into those behaviors. It's probably a really good one.
And it's also a responsibility towards yourself, because if you are 35 plus, then after having babies, after maybe having 1, 2, or 3, if you're lucky, then you're going to hit perimenopause. And perimenopause is a different subject in itself, so I'm not going to touch on that. But you're going to lose your menstrual cycle. So you're going to lose all the benefit that your menstrual cycle gives you. Like, for example, strong bone health, incredible libido, energy, vitality, and all of that. So you want to make sure that before you hit perimenopause, all those things are like everything is in place in your body, meaning you feel strong, healthy, with a strong mindset, because then there is going to be another challenge to face. Am I making sense? Because my sleep deprived brain at the moment is like,
no, it makes total sense. Like, this is getting through this period and thriving in it is so important, because the next challenge is coming.
Exactly. So focus on your baby for sure. Focus also on yourself.
Yeah.
It's all going back to your whys, going back to why did I want to recover? It's not only about having a baby. Yes, of course you want to get pregnant. Of course you want to build a family, but what else? And if you can't find a second why, dive deeper. We ran a challenge last week in my Facebook group, and the first day one of the challenge was write down 15 whys of why you want to recover. 5 whys, because 1 is not enough, 2 are not enough, 3 are not enough. Just dive deeper. Why do you want to recover?
Yeah. Did you see any cool ones that are worth inspiring the listeners with?
A lot of cool ones, because everyone is cool on its own, I think. but there was this one that was about not passing on the same message to her child, for example.
Yeah.
And another one that she wanted to feel free again. And I thought that the words were so powerful in itself, because she basically understood that HA is a cage, is a self-protective cage that we have built around ourselves. And it's all about control and letting go of control. Because I think that increasing the caloric intake and stop exercising, easy, but working on the mindset around it, extremely difficult. But if you realize that you have put yourself in a cage, and the more you shrink yourself, the more your life is going to shrink around you, that's a wake-up call in itself.
That is so, like, I feel so good listening to that. All that's true. And the HA is a cage. I haven't heard that before, but it's completely true. And the more you restrict and try to shrink yourself, the smaller your cage becomes, and your world really is just, consumed by the things that are causing this to you.
Yeah.
And it's when women can release themselves of this hyper focus on their bodies and their food, and they can begin to trust their body, and they can begin to love what it does when it's at its set point, and just like embrace the changes that are coming with it. Like, your whole life just reopens. The things you were talking about before with like incredible libido and having, high energy, and just having the mental and physical capacity to like see your friends and just live your life, that's a huge why for me. And the crazy thing, and the reason I was curious about what some of the ladies' whys are, is just because so many of us don't actually think of those things. Like, we don't realize that we're going to get those back. You go in to just like get your period back because you hear it's really good for your bone health and all that stuff, and you end up getting your life back. And a lot of women don't even realize that that's going to be the main thing that happens.
Absolutely. And HA is super time consuming as well, and which we don't realize, because we think that we are in control, but we're not. We're spending so much time counting the calories, going to the gym, avoiding social gathering, and also like the real estate that takes into your brain. You're always constantly thinking about food and exercise. And then you give up HA and you can take on a new hobby. Like, for example, you have started drawing, beautiful drawings, and I'm reading a book every week, which I've always loved reading books, but when I had HA, it seems like a waste of time. And now I'm like,
Total waste of time. Total waste of time.
down to read a book, say, what? No way. So let me walk another mile. Let me walk another somewhere else so I can burn off more calories, And now I just sit in my couch for like hours with a cup of tea, unless obviously there is real stuff that I need to do. And I just go through one book and another. And also something else that a beautiful girl shared on the Facebook group was that she had 2 babies already. So she's the one struggling to find a motivation after motherhood, let's say. And she shared with us that she wanted to feel free to go out to a restaurant with her husband and pick something from the menu without checking the menu in advance.
Wow.
Because that's something that she hasn't done in 10 freaking years. And another cool one, having birthday cake. This woman, she has never had a birthday cake since she can remember.
Like, she just always says no to the cake.
Yeah, so basically she gets to her birthday and she gets so worked up in the days before her birthday because she's gonna have the cake, no, I can't have the cake. So there is all this going on in her brain. And then she gets to the day of her birthday and she avoids having the cake. And she's been doing it for all her life. And we're talking about someone that is 45 at the moment and she can't remember having a piece of cake.
Yeah, it's incredible. And like, so many women worry like, oh, but if I go into HA recovery, I'm going to not be able to stop eating and I'm going to totally like balloon out. And it's like, no, it's not really about eating all of the junk all the time to the point that you have weight gain beyond comprehension. It's you get to start enjoying the birthday cake and your partner's birthday cake and your cousins, and you're just like, you're not having cake every day. You're embracing all these times that you have never, or you haven't embraced in the last however many years. And that is where it's at. You're not going to want to eat cake every single day. You're going to want to enjoy the moments when that's on offer and you're connecting with other people and you're celebrating other people or your own life. I just, really want women to know that that's what this is about.
Absolutely. And can I share something very personal with you, Dani?
Please.
So I love baking cookies with my daughter. It's something that she enjoys doing. So we try to do it as much as we can together. And then she feeds me the cookies because she's very nurturing. Back in the days, I would have, can you imagine like being fed a cookie when you have HA? Can you think about it? Too scary. It's too time consuming, too scary. I have to put in my fitness pal. I can't eat enough tonight. I have to go for a walk after that. And now we can just sit in the moment, bake the cookies, and then share the cookies together. And then in itself is just my reason to recover. The freedom of having freedom, but also the freedom of being loved by another human being completely and accepting that love. Because I think that when you restrict yourself, is also you're pushing away the love from others and from yourself as well. Because it's a way, HA is a way of punishing yourself, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although society tells us the opposite, but anyway.
It's all very confusing. It's like, oh, you're looking after yourself so well by, restricting yourself of these opportunities to connect, because food for so many is connection. And I don't know exactly where you're from in Italy. I do hear it depends where you're from in Italy, but I mean, isn't food all about connection over there? Like, isn't that the thing?
I remember that when I was a little girl, we had to have breakfast together, lunch together, and dinner together every single day. You're not gonna skip a meal. We're gonna sit down as a family. And then when it was the weekend, we used to sit down as like a big family or with friends.
All the cousins and all of them.
And then you would sit down for hours. So it's not like, I remember that when I arrived in Australia, I was kind of shocked because sometimes I saw people in the food court like scoffing down a sushi while they were walking and reading a book by themselves. And I'm like, what's all that about? And obviously I ended up marrying an Italian man that was in Australia as well, that come from my hometown, but I've never met him when I was back in Italy.
No way.
Funny that. And as soon as we met, he was like, what do you mean that you skip meals? No. We share meals together. What are we talking about? And that's also how, and he was a huge help and a huge support when I was really struggling throughout my journey.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I was Italian. It just sounds so cool.
You're Australian. You are basically, you're from the best country in the world.
Yeah, I know. I'm like really missing it at the moment as well. Maybe just because I'm not allowed to go back, but
I think that we're all feeling quite homesick right now.
Yeah, we're all kind of like, we don't like being told to stay where we are. And I know.
We all need a virtual hug.
I know.
But anyway.
Yeah, so crazy. So tell me a little bit more about you. You had mentioned your coaching and the way that you work with women and that you have like a individualized approach that's not necessarily for everyone. What do you mean by that? Like, I'm so curious about what you do.
So normally I offer plenty of free resources online. So if you go to my Instagram page, you can download lots of things for free, like 10 tips on how to recover from HA and all of that, and the opportunity to be part of the Facebook group. And that's all for free. If you find that it's not enough for you, and if you want extra support, then I offer a 20 minutes free chat so we can talk and really understand where you're coming from, what you're going through. And then I decide if you're ready to take on the recovery program, which is a 7 weeks online recovery program where I support you, but you're mainly doing it by yourself, or if you need to actually see me weekly for the first few weeks before moving on to the program, or before recovering by yourself, obviously. Because I think that the program is a great support for women that don't have, like, financially, they cannot afford to see me one-on-one, but it's not enough for some women that have been struggling for many years. Like
Yeah.
that I've seen. Lots of the clients that have my similar back history, that they have been dealing with HA for more than 10, 15 years. And it takes a lot of time to break down all the walls that you have built around you in the 15 years of HA. So that's basically what I offer.
When women have had HA for like 10, 15 years, what is it that makes, or that you have seen that makes, like, that need to break down the barrier take longer? I mean, obviously they've just been probably ingrained in habits for a longer period of time. If you've had HA for 10 to 15 years, you're probably more likely to come from a disordered eating background. But what is it that needs to be approached differently in your experience for women that have had HA for longer?
Well, it's a really interesting question, and it really depends on the woman in itself. Because first of all, it depends on the culture that she's coming from. So if she's from a Mediterranean culture, we need to work on the mindset about not giving a fuck about what people think about her and her life. That's one of the main components that we need to work on, because in those countries, it's so important what other people think about you, that you basically, you don't care about what you're going through, simply to people please. And then it's really paramount, again, to work on the whys someone want to recover. And if you don't set them in stones, I don't think that you have any chance of really recover properly. Because as you said before, if you have been suffering from HA for 10, 15 years, you tend to have a disorder eating background. So first we need to work on the mindset, because yes, you can increase the caloric intake and decrease the exercise level. You get one period back, and as soon as you get the first period back, then you go back to the old habit, because you really don't want to change your body. You just want to get your period back. And as soon as you achieve that, then you go back to restricting and all of that. That's obviously what I've seen in practice. So mindset is it's paramount when I meet with people that have been suffering for such a long period of time.
Yes. Yeah. I was just curious because I see the same thing. And when someone comes and they're like, I have had HA for 10, 15 years, there's this, like, I want to give them an even bigger hug, because in practice, I've just noticed, like, the shorter a period of time you've had your period, there is a correlation with being able to get it back quicker. And then those who've had it for 10, 15 years, it's just like, the road ahead is, it's going to be fine, and we're going to be there for you, and we can do this. But, like, you even have to put your even bigger blinders on and really have these solid whys that you can always fall back onto, because the whys for kind of getting HA in the first place, like, those have been solidified in your life for even longer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you also have to work on the shame component and the forgiveness. So shame for what you're experiencing, because lots of older women, they come to me and they say, but teenagers go through that, not us. We have a family. How is that possible that we are still dealing with something that normally teenagers go through? And then something else that they need to work on is the support group, the network around them, because they really cut some people loose and just focus on recovering. So it's life-changing even more for people that have a family that they can't get rid of, really. So they have a relationship they've had for so many years. And so they have to start telling a different story. And there is lots of shame behind it, and lots of forgiveness is required. Forgiveness to what you have done to your body mainly. So that's what I've been finding the most. Shame and forgiveness are massive component for people that have been suffering for such a long period of time. And also from a personal experience, forgiving myself, I don't know how many years it took me. I'm still nowadays, I have to work on forgiving what I've done to my body, because as I mentioned before, I have to deal with osteoporosis now.
Yeah, long-term effects.
Exactly. And then all the stuff that I prevented myself from getting pregnant when I was much younger. So now I will have 2 kids and be of a much younger age. That would be really more beneficial for everyone, for myself, for my postpartum recovery, and for my kids as well.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have a mother that is quite oldish, But anyway, so yeah, that's all things that I try to work on when I speak with women that have been dealing with it for so many years.
Yeah. I'm sure so many women are able to really connect with you because you just understand where they're coming from. I think it's really cool that you've been through it and now you're in that space.
I think that lots of people, they just want to talk to me because they want to know my story, and they want to know, how did you get to the other side? Like, they are curious because if I did it, so they can do it. So just give me the steps. And I wish that it was that simple. I can give you like a scaffolding, like some steps you'll be following, but really it's you have to do the work.
Yeah. Step 1 is really hard. Step 2 is also really, really hard.
Welcome to recovery. Especially because when you have problems that are related with food and exercise, when you abuse alcohol and drug, I'm not saying that it's easier to get rid of them, but the solution is to get rid of them. But when it comes to food and exercise, that's something that you have to keep in your life. You have to eat at least 3 to 6 times a day, So that's a fear that you have to challenge every single day, multiple times a day. So I wish that HA was like, okay, you're smoking marijuana every day and you're feeling quite dizzy and not so well in yourself, stop smoking the marijuana. No.
Yeah, like you're not getting your period because of gluten. Like, stop eating the gluten. Like, I wish it was that simple.
Cut the gluten and then you're fine. You just mentioned that, and lots of women that come to me, especially when they've been dealing with this problem for so many years, they've already changed their diet multiple times. So they've made a mess with their bodies. And you have to unpack all of the stuff that they've learned and put it back together. And that requires even a longer time. Because they've already tried all the diets under the sun, and they want to receive another diet because that's all they know. Because for some years, society has told them a diet is going to fix you. It's going to fix your hormones. It's going to fix the fact that you can't get pregnant. It's going to fix your body. But we all know that that's not the case.
Oh yeah, like just not dieting at all is just not on people's radar.
No, because then what else do you do? We have to keep control. We're a control freak nowadays. So if I don't diet, does it mean that I can eat whatever I want? That's too bizarre. How can you tell me to do that?
Yeah, because every time I've done a diet, that has reinforced the belief system that I have that is a right way and a wrong way to eat. And I suck because I haven't found the correct one for me.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's just like a cycle.
All on you. And once again, shame. Shame because you haven't achieved what other women have achieved before you. So you feel like a failure and you feel left behind.
Oh my gosh, this is like actually in my chest right now. Yeah, I've definitely been through all those feelings and just that, like everything you said. I'm not able to achieve what women before me have. I'm being left behind. I'm not worthy of that outcome that they have. And I'm also not worthy of like being just happy in the body that I'm in. And so everything is not working.
But the good news is that you are recovered, you are pregnant.
Yes, those are feelings that pass when you do the hard work. and you get through it, you absolutely get onto the other side in a completely different space.
Last night, I woke up at 11 o'clock because I had to breastfeed and I felt like having a chocolate bar. I had a chocolate bar and I went back to sleep. Just before hitting my head on the pillow, I thought, thank you, recovery. That was like, I had this moment of, I feel free.
There was a time where you would have told yourself no and breastfed and gone to bed.
Like for 15 years or even more than that, for 20 years, I would have not allowed myself to have a chocolate bar if I wanted to have a chocolate bar. So
yeah. And that's like, I won't go back down another tangent because we're almost up on time, but like also if you don't do the work and then you go and get maybe IVF treatment or something, because let's face it, like there are women who would rather get treatment and take that expensive route than recover because of the fear that they have around weight gain and eating more. And, that doesn't mean though that you're going to, once you have that baby, be able to provide for that baby if you're still restricting food. Like imagine if you were still restricting food and not eating enough calories, the quality of your breast milk or your ability to produce is compromised, which affects your baby. So like there's so many reasons to be doing the mental work and not just trying to eat more and exercise less temporarily to get pregnant.
And also, if you go through the IVF route, it has been shown that if you suffer from HA, you have higher risk of getting a miscarriage, a preterm baby, a baby of a smaller size, a birth, which are all things that you definitely want to avoid, on top of what you just mentioned, the low supply when it comes to breast milk. And also, you may need to do multiple rounds of IVF to get pregnant if you're not recovered, because your body is not working against you. It's actually trying to protect you. And a pregnancy is really, really taxing on your body. And for example, I did suffer from Hyperemesis Gravidarum with both my pregnancy, which means that you throw up even 25 times a day. You can't leave the bed.
Wow.
3 months. So I was on IV for 3 months. I couldn't eat or drink. It's dreadful. People can die because of that. And if you come from a very depleted space and you end up suffering, for example, from Hyperemesis Gravidarum, which happens to 15% of pregnant women, which is still a high number, what are you going to do? You're not going to be able to make it. So these are all things that I would like women to consider before choosing IVF amongst the natural route. Not to mention that if you have HA, you go through IVF, higher risk of postpartum anxiety and depression. These are all beautiful things that you definitely want to avoid. Yeah, so I don't want to. I think that IVF is a blessing because thanks science that is giving us the option nowadays, but consider it if it's your only option. Or maybe you want another 6 months, another year, see if you can recover entirely, and then try IVF.
That's really interesting. I didn't know those stats. Thank you for sharing that.
I wish that I had the numbers, but I can look them up and maybe share them with you in the future.
Yeah, cool.
To read anyway.
Yeah, I mean, wow, they're so interesting. I might do some digging anyway, because there's a lot of women right now listening that are considering that route.
Yeah. And I did consider it myself, obviously, because why do I have to put on weight and stop exercising when I can just get some injections and...
Exactly, yeah. So people need to be sold on why.
Yeah, once again, we go back to the whys, Dani, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Okay, all right. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. Where can people learn more and chat with you, Claudia?
Well, you can find me on my website, Instagram and Facebook, Nourished by Claudia. So I'm everywhere, Nourished by Claudia. So very easy to find me. And then if you want to send me an email, just claudia@nourishedbyclaudia.com. And I love talking to women. I love talking to people and see what they're going through. I'm always willing to help. And I'm always here for a chat anyway. I have a massive passion when it comes to women hormonal health and postpartum, postnatal, and pregnancy anyway. And Dani, if you need any help with your pregnancy, reach out, please. I will be there for you.
Thank you so much. I mean, I don't even know yet what I need help with. I'm messaging my doctor. I'm like, when do I do the first things? She's like, hang on. You've got like 4 more weeks before we even like go for it. I'm just like, I don't know what to do.
Make sure that you take the vitamins. Make sure that at least you take that.
Yeah, I'm on my prenatal. That's the one thing I can control right now is like making sure I'm supplementing and eating well too.
And sleep as much as you can, because you're going to hate me now because everyone tells you the same thing, but sleep now because you're not going to sleep later.
Well, my body's already like waking me up at all kinds of strange intervals. I don't like it, but a part of me is also like, oh, get used to it.
As I said before, our body is trying to work with us, not against us.
Totally.
So you're already like trying to send you a message that, hey, woman, you need to adjust your sleep timetable a little bit for the future. But it's gonna be so nice, Dani. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you so much.
All righty.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening today, guys. Please subscribe to the podcast, and if you could head to iTunes specifically and leave a rating or review, that would help so much because it makes it easier for other people with HA who are Googling around to find the podcast really easily. So if you do that, you're doing a service to all of the women.
What can you do if you wake up rested? Improve your overall health and performance with deep, restful sleep and app-controlled cooling technology by Chili Sleep. Enjoy uninterrupted and high-quality deep sleep that caters to your body's natural rest pattern. Chili Sleep helps you rest soundly beside your partner with temperature settings adjusted specifically for your side of the bed. Visit chilisleep.com/try. That's CHILISLEEP.com/TRY.
Excited for a road trip? Start it off right with auto coverage from American Family Insurance. J.D. Power ranked us #1 in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance shopping experience among mid-size insurers. Get a quote at amfam.com.
American Family Insurance.
For J.D. Power 2021 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.